Hello everyone, it's Dragana at Saacibo. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a flip through video for you. Big Nature Journal, the third in the series that I've started approximately 2 years ago. And I felt very inspired to complete it, so I've been working on it all week. So, sorry, no tutorial today. It's one of the big chunky journals that I've done with eco-dyed fabric. And the other two were with elastic binding. This one is with leather string, and here there's a dried flower that I found in the park. Pressed it, dried it, and then used varnish to attach it to the handmade paper that's underneath. Then it was all glued onto the cover, added lace, stitched it with the sewing machine, and then decorated further. Let's take a look on the inside. It's a really big journal. That's packaging paper that I've painted and then varnished. It consists of 3 signatures, and each is bound separately and can be removed from the journal. This must be the sum of everything I've been working on in the last 2 or 3 years, not just recent tutorials, but the ones before. More dried plants on handmade paper attached to this corrugated cardboard signature cover. Lots of jelly prints. Here's one. Remember the 4 stained glass from a few weeks ago? I've used several of my digital kits. I will link them down below. There's an envelope dyed with food coloring and faux postage stamps we made just recently. And lots of coloring books. Here's one of the specimens with napkins from last year. And I've played with this only this morning. I just felt like it needed some sparkle and love the effect. I'm gonna do more of this. It just brought it to life. It was a little bit dull before, and now it's really nice and bright. There's lots of writing space in this journal. There's also lots of room to add things, to do collages or art journaling. Done a lot of stencil work on it. I like how that one turned out. Oh, remember the bunny from just a few weeks ago? Found a perfect spot for it in this CD envelope there. And that's one of those paper clips. I colored these butterflies and then I cut them out, just stamped script and drew lines. Quite effective. That's one of those papers we dyed with onion skin and food coloring. In that batch I mixed everything together, and I think those papers turned out the best. You can see the blue and the green and the brown from the onions. Love them. And more dried plants. This one was glued onto this paper that's actually handmade paper made with just flower petals that are used in eco dyeing. I'm planning to do a video on that. Actually, it was meant to be this week, but then I got so inspired to complete this journal, and you know, when the inspiration strikes, you just have to honor it. So maybe next week. That's also a paper from food coloring video, the one with mica, and then I waxed it. Love how it turned out. Laminated these, then turned that into a side pocket. I've included this big feather and one of the tags that were made from recycled packaging. I painted this one myself. Love how it turned out. That's a printable of my Eco Print. Big mulberry leaves, love it. Now stencil work. This is rice paper, and that's napkin paper with trapped flower petals and starch using Sizzix. Remember that? We've done that last year. That was printed on tracing paper. Cute squirrel from the Secret Forest. I think it was Secret Forest. I just love this so much. Now I just want to go back to all my journals that have this type of paper. And I want to glue some more of these. It was so much fun. Okay. And that fabric was dyed with pomegranate skins, and then I stamped the leaves and laminated the whole thing. It's a really nice bookmark, I think. Here I just stamped these birds. It's just some dyed paper. And that's also with onion skin and food coloring. That was an envelope, and I turned that into like a side tuck. There it is, one of those with purple food coloring leaves and onion skins. I cut it out into a tag. Love the bunny here. And here we have like a full page music sheet. Love that jelly print. And we have a side pocket here, some ruffle and some lace. I've done that in a video a while ago. I've used natural dyes and stencils to color this fabric, and then I decided to just do a bit of embroidery. I will link that video down below as well. Love the colors here, really warm purple and orange colors. And that was also a jelly print, printable of a jelly print. And I cut it out and I glued onto this other print that's actually original. I used also, I think, watercolors and leaves. That's really sturdy. It was an envelope. And that's only from last week. I had it on the front of the journal, and then I decided it just looks better here. The bug. And one of those fabric side decorations from last year. There's a video on that. Index cards with little envelopes. And a bead. The original jelly print turned out so well, and I'm so glad I scanned it so I can print it over and over again whenever I feel my journal needs a bit of that magic. This was a coloring page printed on copy paper. I used food coloring dyes to color it, and then I waxed it. Very interesting result. More coloring book pages, then a bit of stencil work here. This is something I experimented a while ago and love how it turned out, although it was a little bit difficult to glue everything down. And there's also some tracing paper underneath, so it's a bit see-through. That's a napkin. Turned into like a faux rice paper. I think I've used matte medium. It's not that shiny. Like it. That book page was dyed with food coloring too. Beautiful green. And that's from when we were altering digitals. And I've shown you how to emboss full page with Sizzix and stencils. Love it. And that's a really nice wrapping paper. That there is a stencil we made with hot glue only recently. I placed it on the paper and then I sprayed a red food coloring and a bit of gold. Love how it turned out. Oh, I had to include some of the roses. I really love that vintage rose digital kit. I feel like I want to go back and do some more work with that kit because I really love it. Remember this from the end of last year when we've done those big bookmarks with fabric, and I think we used paper bags as the structure, and then we decorated and stamped and used buttons. Love it. That's also a napkin that's glued onto some scrapbooking paper. Turn that into a tuck spot. So you can see I've just folded and attached with sewing. Let's see what we have here. Eco print with a bit of gauze that's dyed with autumn leaves, I think. It says listen. And then here we have a postcard. Okay. And then over here we have a little collage or masterboard that was cut into a tag. And then over here in this pocket we have a few things. There's a leaf trapped in between two layers of napkins. We have this little note, have that little cluster. These can be used throughout the journal. And that was laminated with recycled cellophane bags. It's not a laminating sheet, it's a cellophane bag. And it works well. As you can see now, this bling is going to be everywhere. I just love how it turned out. We've done these last year also. And that's one of the faux specimens. Love that little envelope. And that was done with the plaid papers. Looks really good there. I've included a few little collages or pictures that can be actually glued here or anywhere else in the journal. I didn't want to completely cover it. I left room for improvement and for adding things. Love that. I just had to include one of these faux botanical papers. This was done, I don't know, maybe even 3 years ago. Napkins and dried flower petals, and then I turned that into an envelope. That's a napkin that's decoupaged onto this eco print, done with petals, no cooking method. We're going to do it again very soon. Love the stitching here. And the other side of that printable coloring page. And I'm going to leave that page on my website free for you to download. I don't have it here with me, but it's a landscape version. It's got that on one side and that on the other. And it's not colored. It's just black and white, so you can color it just like I did here. And I'm going to leave it on my website. I know you all love freebies, and I'm really happy to give some. Herbal cards. I don't know why I stopped using them in my journals for a while. Now it's like I've discovered them all over again. Love using them. Love that jelly print. Printable jelly print. That's, I think, from a book. That's a jelly print as well. That's original jelly print there. This must be a part of this journal that I love the most. I just love how that turned out. I used leaves, and then I used watercolors, and I used rust. And some ruffle here with some flower lace. Love that. And this is also from the digital, from my own watercolor when we were doing blueberry dye. I've added a few white dots with contour paint, so it has nice feel. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe it doesn't show in the video, but it gives a little bit of texture. And that's from that onion skin and food coloring dye papers. I cut it into a round tag. Another jelly print. A lot of jelly prints in this one. Also original jelly print. And as you can see, I just had to use more of the sparkly bits. This is from a coloring book. I cut it out like this and I dyed it with rust. That's why it's orange. And that's a page done with food coloring, a bit of mica and a stencil left on top. Love how it turned out. Really pale image of that fern, but I like it. And this here is embossed image, and I embossed it using my own lino cut stamp, but without the ink. I basically placed this handmade paper on top of my lino and I put it through the Sizzix and it came out embossed, and then I just used ink on top. I really like that. We have a bit of a ruffle, and that's a lino cut print. If you're new to my channel, perhaps you didn't see that video where we used book pages and recycled window envelopes to create these pocket pages. It's just that here, as you can see, that was an envelope. I thought this rose would look so nice there, so I just glued it on top of that window. And I really like how it turned out. The rest was done on jelly plate. So that's acrylic paint here that you see. And here we have a little pocket with some bits and pieces to decorate the journal. That's an index card, and this is a napkin turned into a full rice paper. Okay, I think I've used acrylic matte medium, that's why it's not so shiny, but I'm not 100% sure. Forgotten. Have a laminated napkin, have some embossed paper. That's a echo print of a leaf, just a label that says journal. Tiny little paper ruffle with some punched flower shapes, and then I drew with black. Okay, and just a few stickers. It is a specimen slide turned into a charm. Art speaks. But does anyone listen? I know you do. Okay, some stencil work there. And that's a plant used to emboss the paper using Sizzix. We've done that in a video as well. Oh my gosh, we've done a lot of things now. This is like a sample from almost every video that I've done. Another coloring book that I dyed, and then I've added contour paint. Love how that turned out. Here's a little collage that can be glued somewhere. I put it in this cellophane bag because it's easy to slide here into this pocket. I didn't want the lace to be caught on these sharp edges. That's also from a jelly print, but it's a printable version. And here we have original postcard that I painted over. We've done that in a video. Maybe not this leaf, I've done bees and dragonflies, but I've shown you how to use old ugly postcards to paint and have fun. Really love that leaf. And then here we have, from the recent video, the paper clip. Yes, the paper clip with a little notebook and butterfly that I colored, and one of those cute charms we made together in the last video, the one with mushrooms. Okay, and then here, that's from another kit, I think the one with bugs, and that's a huge butterfly. I printed that and then I waxed it so it's a little bit translucent. Now I want to go and get some of those sparkly crystal bits and glue them on top and decorate it further, maybe even use a bit of white Posca pens and just have fun with it. But I'm gonna let someone else do it. That's just an idea. I'm using this paper clip to close those two pages together. That's just washi tape with some gold. I can't tell if that's a leaf or a feather. Really love that embossing effect. There's the other side of that pocket page with envelopes and book pages. And here's another envelope that I altered. It can be glued anywhere in the journal. It would look good even here, but I thought I'll just put it inside. Let someone else decide. Enjoy the little things. I really like it. This was dyed with grapes. And we come to the end. Oh, more sparkly bits. Love that. Done that in a video as well. Those little frames made with recycled packaging that we painted, and then we put a laminated specimen in between. And here's my certificate of authenticity with my stamp. And this here, I cut it out from my own digital kit and I glued it on top because I didn't like how that jelly print looked underneath, and it just fits so perfectly there. I should do more things like that. Okay, and then here we have a little fabric collage with a jelly print that was done on fabric. I really like how it turned out. The woods, that dark green fabric with the black acrylic paint on top. And it's working well with this background. All the greens and oranges. Love that. So that is another big nature journal, the third in the series and probably the last one of these. I love it so much. I was thinking of keeping it to myself, but I already have one that I started using. That one. Even chunkier. And I don't need two of the same, so I'm happy to let it go. This journal is going to be available for sale on my website rather than on Etsy. and I will leave the link down below. There's going to be very soon a new section in my website called shop. I will try to transfer all my digital kits and everything else that I have in my Etsy store onto my website, but I will keep the Etsy store as well for digitals mainly. I think this is something that I'm still working on, so it's going to take me a while, but hopefully sometime this year there'll be more things inside. For now, it's just going to be this journal. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this flip through and I hope it was inspirational for you. I'm planning to do another version of this flip through without me talking, where I'll just be flipping the pages. I'll probably release it later this week. Thanks so much for watching. Hope I see you soon in my next video. Bye for now.